In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 10 different altcoins that I'm looking to buy right now. I've been studying the charts ever since March of 2020. I've been in crypto ever since March of 2020, and I've been waiting for moments like this in this period of time with the economy, with the crypto market. I've been waiting for some of these patterns to show up on the chart, and I've been looking at them, and I found that there's 10 different altcoins right now that I'm looking to buy, and I want to share what those are with you in this video. So the first one is Ethereum. Ethereum being kind of the ultimate altcoin. There's a couple things I want to point out on this chart. So the first being that it's kind of in this cup and handle pattern. In a cup and handle pattern, a textbook one looks like this, where you've got price coming up, hitting this level of resistance, coming down and around, making a series of lower lows, and then making a series of higher lows and higher highs, coming right back up to this level of resistance. And then it has a short handle and then a breakout. Now, this is a textbook example. It's not always going to look like this on the chart. And so right now, even on Ethereum, it doesn't quite look like that. If I remove some of these drawings, you can see we have price that came up to the level of resistance. It's come around, made a series of lower lows and lower highs, and then kind of turned around to where this area right here is kind of that level of resistance. And we have the handle part right here. Let me actually just pull up a different Ethereum chart so you could see where I don't have as many drawings. So then this would be kind of that cup part right here. And this is the handle that's being formed right here. And this is the comparison. And so in this textbook example, it looks very short, but when it actually plays out on a chart, it doesn't necessarily have to look quite like that. But I'm anticipating that we would see some type of move to the upside at some point, if in fact this handle portion is done. Now, let me zoom in a little bit more as to what is happening with some of these candles. So one thing that I'm looking at is this bullish engulfing candle right here on Ethereum. That's a very bullish sign. I love seeing bullish engulfing candles. It's a very bullish move, especially when it's at an area of support. And so we can see that over here we have this big green candle, red candle that basically was resistance, but we also have it now acting as support when you draw a horizontal line connecting the two. So this could be a very potent place for price to turn around and make a reversal. You also see that I have drawn here this kind of expanding diagonal, if you will. It's almost like an expanding triangle, reverse triangle in a way. And so I've also labeled this kind of as an A, B, C, D, E, and the E would be the final leg down before price continues up. I know this isn't it's not technically an Elliott wave pattern because some of the rules have been broken, but it is very similar to some of those expanding diagonal patterns. If anything, it looks more like a expanded flat. An expanded flat, it looks something like this, where you have an A, B, C pattern, and that B comes up usually past whatever this was, a wave 5, and then C goes down beyond wave A. So if we're looking at Ethereum, this would actually be, this count would be a little bit different. One second. This would actually be wave A, B, C, where B kind of came right up to the top of the start of wave A, and it's expanded. So very much could fall in line with that. One other thing I like to look at is the Fibonacci retracement from the swing low to the swing high, and you have price coming right into what I like to call this golden, this green area. This is on a logarithmic chart, by the way, but price coming respecting that 0.786 level. You can see it right there, 0.786 level. Doesn't mean that when it hits it, it's automatically going to turn around, but in many cases, when it's near support like that, and then you get a bullish candle, like, it increases the likelihood that we do get a reversal to the upside. So lots of things happening here on Ethereum. I'm just waiting for this candle to close on the weekly time frame. So we've got a few more days before it closes. But if this is in fact in a bullish engulfing candle, at least the body is, and we've got some volume to support it, then that will give me even more confidence that Ethereum is going to continue to go higher. I've got some price targets here. I actually have like a $15,000 price target on Ethereum based off of this cup and handle pattern and how you can measure for that. So basically you take from the top of the resistance to the bottom, you measure that area and then place it on top, and that can get you a target for Ethereum. So I have that here based upon two different levels, this one and then also up here. So that is Ethereum. Let me know what you think about Ethereum. And now that we got Ethereum out of the way, now I'm going to get into some that you probably didn't think I was going to talk about. But the first is the graph. And this one I've been keeping an eye on for quite a bit. And as you look at the chart, you could see that I've drawn in this cup pattern because it's showing up on a lot of different cryptos. So again, this pattern right here seems to be forming. We're in this period of these higher, of it turning around to start making higher highs and higher lows. Right here, it's kind of making this U-turn. And this was a very critical point just within the last couple of weeks, because it still is, but you see that price came all the way down, kind of to where this low was. But if it broke that low, then this could potentially invalidate the cup and handle pattern. So it's really important that we get a turnaround here. And as you can see, we got this wick down right near where this low was back in October of 2023. So basically a year and a half ago, and price does need to turn around in order for this pattern to continue to play out. And if it does turn around, if it's going to turn around, this is actually a really good place to buy in, just because you've got it at a really good price. I mean, we're talking about 9 cents. And even if it goes up to its recent high of about 50 cents, that's a 5x. You know what I mean? So even just going back up here. Now, I think that price will go all the way up to at least this level here of resistance. It could even go higher. So if you were to buy in right now at below 10 cents and it goes to 290, I mean, that's a 29x just to get back to its all-time high. And at that point, it could also have completed this cup part of the cup and handle pattern, which then we know there's even more upside at some point in the future. So I am definitely looking forward to this turning around. And as I'm looking at this weekly candle, this is also a bullish sign, because we have this somewhat of a doji candle right here, which is in the market. It's a candle of indecision. Price doesn't know exactly what it wants to do next. It's kind of undecided. The candle before that was a huge move down, selling off. So a lot of sellers or a lot of people exiting the market. So then now buyers need to step back up and drive the price higher. And so we'll be paying really close attention to this weekly candle that we're on. And so as long as it closes above this candle's high, that's a very bullish sign for me. Again, looking for it to support with volume. So that's what I like on the graph, as well as this is also kind of in that expanding diagonal pattern, which looks like this, where you have basically the highs going higher and higher and the lows also making higher lows, but you got price bouncing back and forth and creating this diagonal shape that is expanding as the waves go on. So that's kind of what I see here on the graph and a few other cryptos as well. So I'm thinking price on this fifth wave, if this fourth wave is done, then price will at least get back to the high of the third wave, which is basically right at 50 cents. I mean, basically right on the dot. And I obviously think it'll go higher, but at the very least for this pattern to play out, it will go at least to the 50-cent mark and probably higher than that, maybe before another pullback. But we will wait and see. But as for right now, I'm looking to buy in on the graph based upon what I see on the chart, these two patterns that are kind of working together in play. And if you're getting value out of this video, I really appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up button. Also, let me know what you think down in the comments section below. Okay, so let's move on to the next crypto. Let's take a look at Render, because this one is also similar to the graph in a sense that it has this expanding diagonal pattern that we were just looking at. And this one is pitched up pretty nicely. So I think this one has some potential for a really nice fifth wave move. As you can see, we've got price coming up to wave 1, 2, 3, and then 4. And it looks like we're going to get a turnaround here, hopefully, with this local low. And as I see this third wave, I can also see how it is broken down through an Elliott wave perspective, like so. This would be W, X, and then Y. So another 3-wave structure to subdivide this wave 4. That's looking pretty solid, looking good. The proportions are looking really good on that. And so also in these expanding diagonals, when it comes to Elliott wave, they typically do. Wave 4 does usually come into the price territory of wave 1. Whereas in a normal Elliott wave 5-wave pattern, that's a rule where it can't. But in the expanding diagonal, it typically does. And so we do have price coming back into the price territory of wave 1, just barely. So it's a good sign. I think also when I'm looking at volume here, when we have the pullbacks, to see volume fading is also letting me know it's kind of like a cool down period of time. And at some point, buyers are going to step back in if price is going to continue to go higher. So we saw that from wave 2, right? We went up on wave 1. Volume is also fading, but then we got price to turn around and volume came back in to support the move higher. Similar thing is happening where we have this sell-off for this wave 4, which has taken quite a long time, basically a whole year up until this point. It's coming down, but volume is also fading down as well. We had a couple green candles here when price moved up, but now I think soon we're going to have volume stepping back up to support a move higher. Now, for a price target for this, I can say at least price should move beyond the start of wave 3. So we're basically at $3.40. So it would clear probably, most definitely at a minimum, clear 13. So that's already a 4x just from if you were able to buy in right here. Now, I think it can go much higher than that in this bull run. So my target actually for this, if I use the Fibonacci extension, I think at the very least it will be the same size as wave 1. And so you can do that by taking the Fibonacci trend based Fibonacci extension, and you basically measure a wave. So in this case, wave 1, you measure how long that one was, and then you can basically compare another wave and see. So then at this one level, that would mean that wave 5 would be the same length as wave 1. And that's typically what would happen in any 5-wave structure. There are some cases where it doesn't, but I would think in this, wave 5 would be pretty long. It would expand quite a bit. So that would mean it's at least as long as wave 1, probably just as long as wave 3. But at a minimum, we would also get to 20. So from where we're at right now, that would be a 6x return if you were able to buy in right there. So I'm definitely looking to buy in on this right where it's at, because I think it's another potent level place to get in before, I don't think price is going to go too much lower than that. If we're going to get a turnaround, it's probably not going to go too much lower. So that's what I see on Render. And also don't forget that these videos are all for entertainment purposes. They're not financial advice. So make sure you do your own research and analysis. Now, the next crypto is VeChain. VeChain has been one that I've been in for a long time, since the last cycle, and I've held on to it. I think it's one that has great application just for what it does. So I think there's some fundamental value in it. But when it comes to the charts, again, it's kind of falling into that category of this expanding diagonal. There's a common theme here. There's a lot of cryptos that are playing that out. Now, what I can't necessarily say is how clean it's going to potentially be for a cup and handle. There's still potential for that, but maybe not as clean as some of the other cryptos, but it definitely could if we can continue putting these higher highs and higher lows. But I definitely think it falls into the category of the expanding diagonal. And so with that, price is near this lower trend line. And so I think soon we'll get a bounce. I mean, we got a wick down really close to it. And if the overall markets are looking to go up, then this would be a great place to buy in as well. One thing I'll point out is that I did draw this trend line that was from the last kind of cycle highs. So all the way back in April of 2021, in November of 2021, that was kind of the peak of the last cycle. And I drew a trend line just from those two peaks, connecting those two peaks. And you would say that everything underneath this is under this trend line until we actually broke it. We did break it here with this big green candle in February of last year. Price did come back down kind of to retest, but then we got this bullish engulfing candle right here at this area of support, right on that trend line. And that to me is like, okay, we broke it, we came back, retest, but now we're actually ready to break. And we got this big wave up, this impulsive wave right here. And then we retraced back to some support. And so I think now the trend is, if you were looking at this as a entire trend, let's see, if you're looking at this area as an entire downtrend, then we definitely broke that. We broke it and retested it. So now I think the trend is reversing, similar to what we would see for a cup and handle pattern. I mean, that's essentially what we're looking for. And so right now you're looking to get in at some relative lows, which could be really good as far as a risk reward ratio. So that's why I'm looking to buy in right over here. Obviously paying attention to see how these candles close. I mean, well, I guess this candle, how it closes. But that's what I'm seeing on VeChain as well. Like I said, I've been in VeChain for a while and have continued to dollar cost average in with VeChain. And so I'm really looking for this one to pop at some point. If it gets back to its all-time highs, I think it'll go much higher than that, but let's just say it goes back to its all-time high of 27 cents. I mean, we're at, less than 25 cents right now. So we're looking at a 10x right there. And at some point, I think it can get above $1. We just don't know how long it's going to take to get there, but that's what I'm looking at. But even right now, if you were to buy in today, right at this moment, you'd be looking to get a 10x return if it got back to its all-time highs, which if the cycle moves in the way that we think it will, then I think VeChain will hit and surpass its all-time highs. Next on the list is Enjin coin. This is a different one. I haven't spent too much time with looking at investing in Enjin coin, but what I see on the charts right now is really catching my attention. And so what I've got labeled here is a very, very common, basically the staple of Elliott wave pattern. And that is this right here, a 5-wave move up and then followed by an A, B, C correction. These first 5 waves are what's known as the motive phase, and the ABC is the corrective phase. And so just to kind of draw your attention to show you what that looks like, we've got wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we've got A, B, C happening right here on the chart. So this textbook example is playing out pretty well on the chart. Of course, it's not exactly the same, but this again is one of the most common patterns you will see in Elliott wave, and it's showing to be pretty proportional and following the rules of Elliott wave. The main thing to point out here is that this ABC pattern creates a wave 2 before it goes higher to create a wave 3. And so where we're at right now is we have this ABC pattern after this wave 1 up, and I think we could be starting a wave 3, and it really depends on this candle down here and kind of just whether or not we break this downtrend. And so what the candle is doing right now is good. I mean, we have this doji candle, this red doji, but then we have price coming up, and if this closes above this swing high, that will be a very bullish sign. Not only that, but when it comes to the Fibonacci retracement, we also have price coming to a very solid level here. Let me get rid of this extension tool, but we have price from this low, the swing low right here, all the way up to wave 5. We have this ABC coming down to the 0.786. Again, that's one of those common levels if you're looking at a logarithmic chart for these wave 2s. So it's really interesting to see how price can come right there. Not to guarantee that every time price goes right there, it's going to turn around, but it's interesting to see that if this does turn around, that it happened right at the 0.786 level. Sometimes it's the 0.618. For other wave types, it's these other levels. So you just have to pay attention to that. But that's what's looking really good to me. And we also have some bullish divergence happening as well. So basically that means when price is creating lower lows, like you see here on wave A and wave C, the RSI, or the relative strength index, is creating higher highs. That means the momentum is shifting from bearish to bullish. So it's slowing down to the down. Momentum is slowing down to the downside. And it's indicated here with the lower lows, and then lower lows on price, and then higher highs on the RSI. And you can see there's actually multiple. So you have kind of where this lines up is a low. So that's a low here, but then you come to this one right here. This low on price corresponds with this low on the RSI, but it's actually higher than it was over here. Same thing over here. You even have bullish divergence between these two lows. You have a lower low, but then you have a higher low on the RSI. So even combining the fact that there's multiple bullish divergence, they call it multiple bullish divergence, helps to support the case that momentum is slowing down to the downside, and it's creating divergence to the bullish side. And it's almost like a reversal is imminent. We just have to wait for it. We have to wait and be patient for it to break the trend line. A lot of times it will need to retest. So even if we had price come up here, maybe it retests and puts in a higher low before it continues to the upside, something like that. But if we're able to get in right here, that's a good sign. Now, it also could mean that we go higher, so a move higher, but we also come back down and create another low. So you just have to be mindful of that and understand, which ways price can move. But overall, Enjin coin, if this is a wave 2, then again, I like to use the trend-based Fibonacci tool and measure the wave we're talking about, and then go down to the low. If this is going to be the low of wave 2, I would expect wave 3 to be at least as long as wave 1. And so that would be wave 1 right here. So that would be this target area. And so wave 1 would be go up to 12. So that's one of my targets. And so if we were able to buy in right now, we'd be looking at 125x on Enjin coin. And you think, well, 125x, yeah, that's a lot. But if you haven't been around crypto very long, you haven't seen the brightest days of the bull markets. But in previous cycles, it would be very common to have 100x crypto, 100x altcoin. It depends on which ones. And obviously a lot of them go up and then crash. But at its peak, you can put in some crazy numbers. I mean, 100x, 200x, 1000x cryptos from some of its lows. Now, it doesn't mean that you buy wherever you buy it, it's going to 100x from there. You have to get it at the right time. And so timing is important. It is hard to time some of these markets, but that's why I'm creating these videos, so that you can at least learn from me. And I'm just giving you a peek into what I'm doing, what I am seeing on the charts, and just kind of being an open book and sharing what I'm doing. So I am looking to buy in this area. It doesn't mean I'm going to catch the absolute low. I mean, it definitely could come up and then come back down. If it does that, no big deal. I do think we'll get a turnaround at some point based upon this bullish divergence and just the way the market is going. Now, I also have a higher target. The target one is at $12 per coin, but also I've seen where wave 3 can be 1.272 or even 1.618, the length of wave 1. And so it's usually longer than wave 1. So anything up to this level of this one level is exactly the same length as wave 1. Anything above it would be longer than wave 1. And so it's reasonable to think that it could go much higher. Just don't know, and also don't know if that will happen in this cycle, but it is possible. It very much is possible. So again, 125x or even 500x from where it is right now. Obviously, that would be a huge move. Not saying that it's going to happen. And if I did say it's going to happen, it could be a really long time if it does. So that's Enjin coin. Next coin is Sandbox. And in the same way I was just talking about Enjin coin, I am seeing bullish divergence happening right now on this coin. So we have a series of lower lows happening on price right here. But then we have a series of higher lows on the RSI. So at some point, we're going to see a reversal for the most part. That we can almost guarantee that. Now, how much is still up in the air. But when you have all of this momentum slowing down to the downside, at some point, buyers are going to step in a certain way. They have already with this huge move up just a couple months ago. And now we're coming back to basically retest. So I'm looking at this as a potential reversal. And if we can keep this low above the low over here, that will be another bullish sign. And I think that's going to happen. I honestly think that that's going to happen. I think that we're going to be able to keep this low above this over here. He had a huge volume spike on this move over here. Volume is fading along with price, which just means that things are cooling off. You had people step in and, there wasn't any more buying pressure. So things just kind of cooled down. And so there wasn't as much volume. And with fading volume and price going down, that doesn't mean that there's a bunch of aggressive sellers trying to drive the price down. It just means things are like cooling off. They're just coming to a rest. Just like, if you started running or if you're in a car and you accelerate, you get up to a top speed and you let off the gas. This is basically what's happening until you press on the gas again and it keeps going. It's not necessarily like people are putting on the brakes and putting you in reverse, putting the car in reverse to like drive the price further down. But I think If we can hold this right here and see price continue up, that'll be a great sign for this whole thing to be a reversal, again, based upon the fact that we have multiple areas of bullish divergence where there's higher lows on the RSI while there's lower lows on price. Now, as far as measuring where I think Sandbox can go, I am basically just basing it off of getting back to its all-time highs. So if we were to buy in where it is right now, it's basically at 30 cents, a little under 30 cents. If it gets back to its all-time highs of almost $8, then that would be a 27x return. Now, it's got some way to go, but it's certainly possible that we could see price get back to its all-time high in this bull cycle. I mean, once we really get into the bull cycle, or altcoin season, as people like to say, then we could get price could get back to its all-time highs, if not go even further. And I hope you're seeing a common thread here. There's a lot of these cryptos that are putting in this expanding diagonal pattern. And another one is Theta token. So we've got these waves coming in right now. We've got these connected highs right here, and then we've got these connected lows. Hopefully this is a low. But what I'm paying attention to right now, friends, is this bullish engulfing candle. Now, this candle still has 3 days, actually almost 4 days left on it, but it's already broken past the high of this this candle, this kind of hammer pattern candlestick. And so if we can keep the close above this, then that's a very bullish sign for me, just because there's been other times where we get that bullish engulfing candle, even one right here near support, boom, then we had this massive move up. Now, I've said in many of my other videos, just because you see one of these bullish engulfing candles pop up on a chart doesn't mean that price is just going to turn around or go higher, whatever it is. I mean, we got one here, but in many cases, it does print one, and we do have a move much higher. They don't print all the time. But when they do and they're near support, that is a higher likelihood, in my opinion, of them going higher. So for instance, I mean, technically this is a bullish engulfing pattern, but this was right in the middle of this downtrend. So you can't always count on just whenever you see one of those print on the chart that price is going to go up, because in this case, you would have taken that, you would have got a little bit of gains, but then price ultimately came back down. So got to pay attention to that as well. Now, when it comes to Theta, I'm also looking at the retracement level here. So going back to this swing low and just taking a peek and see where price is kind of respecting these Fibonacci levels, and it's respecting this 0.5 level, this 50% retracement level. Boom. So it came down there, a little bounce. It did go below, but then quickly retraced. And now we see price coming down, and what looks like it could be respecting the same level, this 50% level, before it continues to go higher. Again, if we get that bullish engulfing candle, that could be a really good sign. So that's why I'm looking to buy in with Theta token. And as far as a price target, I again would think it's going to be at least up to its all-time highs, but then also measuring with the Fibonacci extension tool, I would think it's going to be at least as long as wave 3, if not longer. So in the medium term, it can go from basically under $1 in 90 some cents up to $5 plus, $5.50 plus. So that's over a 5x return just right there. But also, if this one is going to continue to make a series of higher highs and higher lows of this cup and handle pattern, maybe at some point it looks like this, and it will get back to its all-time highs. If it does that from its current levels, then we're taking a look at somewhere around $17, which would be 18x return. So Definitely some potential upside with Theta token. I'm liking where it's at. I'm really liking this level. This would be a great level to buy in. So that's what I think about that. And just because you stuck around to the end, I'm going to have some bonus ones that I go over here. But again, still a couple more to get to our 10 altcoins. And this one I've talked about on the channel multiple times, which is Super Intelligence, the Artificial Super Intelligence Alliance, or FET is its kind of ticker symbol. And similar to some Elliott wave patterns, these waves, we have that on this coin. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, boom, A, B, C. This is actually a running flat, I'm counting it as. So let me show you that. That's actually where price starts to correct for wave A, goes up for wave B, but then wave C does not come lower than wave A before it continues on with the next move. So again, we had A come down, B come up, and then C did not complete it did not go past wave A. It's also could be seen as another wave 1 and wave 2, and then another wave 1 and wave 2. A little bit more advanced on the Elliott wave. Won't go into that on this video, but I do believe that this in general is a wave 1 and wave 2. And I've already got the Fibonacci retracement tool on here. It's coming right to that 0.618 level, which is another common level for wave 2s. And what we have as far as a candlestick pattern forming, we can see that this is starting to form a bullish engulfing candle. Really close. It's gotta close at a certain level, but as of right now, with still a few days left in that candle, I'm looking very closely at that because we could get a nice turnaround there at a very crucial level when it comes to the Fibonacci. Also, you can see that I had Drew on here once before because I mentioned that I had been talking about this on the channel before. And so with this cup and handle pattern, we do have this coming up to the level of resistance. I was thinking that this was the handle that would end in August of 2024, but in fact it continued and it would continue higher, but in fact it actually continued further down. So obviously need to adjust that. Just showing you that because even though you make analysis on the chart, what the chart tells you is what the chart's telling you. So you can make your own predictions, but ultimately price could do a couple of different things. So I'm gonna adjust it down. This still could be putting in this handle like it is right here, but it will be a little bit longer than what I had initially anticipated. So we're here, we're at this 0.618 level for this wave. And I think price could continue higher from here. We'll just have to wait and see. And again, look and see what we get for that candlestick pattern on the weekly time frame. The next one is flow. Flow is also, it's broken this trend line this long trend line that we have right here. And so it's important to understand when it does break, a lot of times price will retrace and retest. And so we did have a nice move for quite a while, but now it's kind of coming back to some of those levels where it had initially broken this trend line. During that period of time as well, we had a series of lower lows on price, and we had a series of higher lows on the RSI, indicating the bullish divergence. And so we did get that move up, but again, we are retesting. And so looking to see what's going to happen with this candle pattern right here. If we're going to get a nice move up, what's going to happen there? So paying attention closely to this, but this would be a great level to buy in as well. And also, this is a little bit more of an advanced thing, but this is the Wyckoff accumulation pattern. This is the pattern that's been around for a long time, and it kind of shows what happens when there's a series of accumulation happening on the charts. And so I see some similarities of this on the flow chart. And so when I take a look at the flow chart, we've got price coming down, and then we have, these local highs. And forgive me because I kind of forget what some of these abbreviations are for. But basically, it starts to form this area of accumulation and this kind of back and forth range until we get to this point, what's called the spring, which is right before price kind of goes to the upside. And so this is kind of creating that range right here, even though it is still kind of trending down a little bit, but we had price coming down. This would be seen as, I believe this is the preliminary support, automatic response. I forget what this one is, but it's forming this pattern a little bit on the chart. But the main thing is understanding the spring. A lot of times this spring is a move that really starts the uptrend, and it usually comes down below where this level of support is, because everybody who's buying in is looking to, anybody who's buying in at any point in time here is putting their stop losses back here. So then when all of these people are buying in and putting their stop losses back here, then what price does is come back and basically tags out all of those stop losses and gets all of this liquidity of people, gets all of the liquidity of people buying in right here. So that's why this pattern works. And it's kind of a pattern of like market manipulation and what the whales are doing and smart money is doing. So I've been able to spot this a little bit better in recent years. And this is something that's looking very similar. So I wouldn't be surprised now that price has kind of come below this level just a little bit. It's all it needs. That's literally all it needs, is to come below just a little bit. So then it can basically accumulate all of this liquidity. People buying in, setting their stop losses below support. It basically comes and grabs all of that liquidity before it goes higher. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is the start of the spring, and usually the spring is the start of, a much higher move. So just wanted to draw that to your attention. Now, one I'm really excited about is Quant. Quant is putting in a very, very nice textbook 5-wave pattern. At least it seems to be going that way. So let me show you that again. Again, this is wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, followed by an A, B, C. Now, I say that right now we're in a 1, 2, 3, 4 right now for this larger wave on Quant. Wave 1, 2, 3, 4. And this also follows the rule of alternation, which is between waves 2 and waves 4, where wave 2, if this one is a little short and brief, then wave 4 would be a little bit longer and drawn out. It's also, this could be the reverse, where wave 2 is long and drawn out, and then wave 4 would be short and brief. Now, when it comes to the actual correction of wave 4, it's looking like a flat. And this is what a textbook flat pattern looks like, where you have wave A and then wave B coming up, and wave C ends right around the same level as wave A. And so that's kind of what I see happening right here. You have wave A, wave B, and then wave C right here. And then this is kind of the end of that pattern, then the start of the higher move. In this case would be wave number 5 of this larger pattern. And so with that, we also have this move up and a retracement. This looks like it could be a wave 2 that's forming. And let me actually zoom out a little bit so you could see also the retracement level of this wave 4. So wave 4s love to retrace back to the 0.382 level. That's kind of the most common level that wave 4s will pull back to. And so we've got that right. I mean, it's right there. And so we got that bounce there in back in June of 2022. But then we're putting in the rest of this wave 4. It's a little bit higher of a low, which is fine. Also could be seen, I guess, as a little bit of a running flat, but it definitely looks more just like a standard flat just because it's so close. And so typically with a wave 5, the way that I will measure the upside is to do the inverse of a Fibonacci retracement. So going from the top of wave 3 to the bottom of wave 4 and looking at the 1.236 level. And that's what I have right here. So that would be at 730-ish. And sometimes you can also get a 1.618, especially in the crypto market, just because things just explode when they explode. So at the current price level of about 80, if we were to go up to the 1.236, that would be a 9x return. And if we got a little bit more of a push up to the 1.6, we're talking about over a 20x. And so I'm looking at this as a very potent level, just because we've definitely broken this trend. We're just basically retesting it to see, how it's going to hold up. Also, similar to one of the other cryptos I had shown earlier, we've got this trend line that's connecting both of these two pivot highs. And then we had price break out of that. And now I think we're coming to kind of retest that same level. So I'm really excited about Quant as well. And the next one is Pendle. And Pendle is a new one. Again, I haven't been following this one too much, but I've added it to my chart simply because I found this pattern here, which is a hidden bullish divergence. Now, I've been talking a lot about regular bullish divergence where price is making lower lows and the RSI is making higher highs. But in this case, there is a type of hidden bullish divergence, that is quote unquote hidden, where you actually have higher lows on the price and lower lows on the RSI. So let's take a look right here. So even though it's very slight, you do have a higher high on the RSI or on price while making lower lows on the RSI. So this would indicate hidden bullish divergence with expectations of price to continue higher. Now, again, this one is relatively new on my chart, so I'm still looking to see kind of where things could go, but I'm mainly paying attention here to this chart pattern, and we're getting this bullish engulfing pattern. If it closes, that will be a very bullish sign for me. I'll be looking to buy more as price continues higher, but this is still a potent level to get in, just because if this prints, then we will have hidden bullish divergence, and that is a pretty much a good indication of a reversal, and a move higher is imminent. So let me know what you think about all these different cryptos. Again, this is all for entertainment purposes, not financial advice, but let me know what you think in the comments below. If you found it helpful, if you learned something new, I'd appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up. And for more videos, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.